That's right, mate. It's fucking Tuesday, isn't it? That's fucking right, mate. It's fucking Tuesday, isn't it? It's a fucking Tuesday. That's right. You never know, mate. It's a fucking Tuesday. I know, that's kind of bad, right? Okay. Don't mind. I don't mind, folks. I don't mind it at all. Okay. I think we got a maxed out mic now. Why is everything so boosted? It's all good, mate. I lit my fucking stash on fire earlier. Yeah, what's up, neat skur vitamin excellent. Wow. Good thing I banned you, because I can't really say your name, Mr. Russian. I've got these bots. Feel like you're winning, folks? Feel like you're fucking winning? Because I'm not. I'm not fucking winning. My gas bill just doubled. They said $6 gas, that means I got a $8.50 gas coming in California, folks. What the actual fuck? Am I supposed to be happy about that? Is that called winning? Trump. Winning so much. That's right, you're winning so much. Yeah. Please, it's too much winning. Here we go. You guys feel like this is happening, chat?
All right. Look.
All right. That's right.
You're going to be so proud of your country.
Listen. Listen. Listen, folks. This is what you fucking Trump-loving motherfuckers have been saying to me ever since he was fucking coming out and saying he was going to be the president. And look, this is 2016. He's been saying this bullshit for way too long. And we're like, oh, well, I guess we're winning. This is winning. We're winning the war in Iran. We're winning. Listen.
if I get in. You're going to be so proud of your president, and I don't care about that. But you are going to be so proud of your country because we're going to turn it around and we're going to start winning again. We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military.
You mentioned the economy because that's the most important thing, right? We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win in the economy. That's right. It's like, okay, hello? Like, what the? There's two W's right there. You guys feel like we're winning in an economy? Do you feel like that's happening, chat? Because I don't. We're winning the economy. What else were you winning in? Let's see. Did we forget he promised
We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare.
Okay, are we winning with healthcare? No. My health bills went up this year. Big time. Military? No, we're losing in Iran. He took us to war in Iran. We're losing. No. No. We're not winning, folks. We're not fucking winning. Okay? What the fuck? What is happening to my mic? Out of here. Hello? Check. Oh. Hello? God damn it. When your noise remover thinks your voice is just noise. That's crazy.
For our veterans, we're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much.
All the facets.
You may even get tired of winning, and you'll say, please.
Please, are you tired of winning, folks? Because I'm not. I'm not tired of winning. Not one of us is winning. Okay?
Please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to.
Really? Where's the fucking winning, Mr. President? Where are we winning? In your head?
Win more. We're going to win so much. I love you, Albany. Get out and vote. You will be so happy.
Don't see him acting like that anymore, do you?
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org.
You'll be winning so much, you won't know what to do. You'll say, no, please, Mr. President, we want to stop winning. We can't stand the winning. It's too much winning. That's right. Said, sir, please stop the winning. It's too good. Can't have the winning. The W's are stacking up and we're having a hard time keeping them in place. We can't have this many W's. All the L's are gone. We wish. It ain't happening, folks. None of us are winning. Not one of us is winning. They will tell you that you're winning. Okay? If you're on the other side, they'll say we're winning. The right will say, we're winning. We won the cultural wars. We won this. Of course, the left's not going to say we're winning because we're smart. The center people will say we're winning. The Democrats will say we're winning. We're going to win bigger than before. Bigly. We're in the business of winning is what the Democratic, the National Committee guy says. I'm in the business of winning. You haven't won shit. He hasn't won anything. It's like, what? He's like, I'm in the business of winning. Yeah, you said that to the person that hired you, and they hired you. Like, what the fuck? Okay, happy Tuesday, isn't it? If you got any fucking blimies across the pond that want to tune in and see this lame-ass accent, mate, please tune in. Because it's fucking Tuesday, isn't it? That's right. fucking Tuesday.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. President Trump's warned Iran will be blown off the face of the earth if U.S. warships are targeted in the Strait of Hormuz. Trump's renewed threat to destroy Iran came as the Pentagon rebranded.
It's Taco Tuesday, folks, and I throw this one out. That's right. It's another Taco Tuesday. We're going to do another taco. We got the best taco this time, folks. That's right. Some say I'm the best at tacoing. Others would say I'm not. Some say, well, you can get better tacos in Mexico, but nope, I'm better at being a taco.
Its war from Operation Epic Fury to Project Freedom, turning its focus to reopening the Strait of Hormuz to commercial traffic. On Monday, Iranian state media said the U.S. had fired on small cargo boats carrying goods and passengers, killing 5 civilians. U.S. Central Command confirmed it had attacked several boats, but insisted they were threatening commercial vessels. Separately, the United Arab Emirates said it had come under attack from drones and missiles that caused a fire at an oil facility at the port of Fujairah. The port is outside the Strait of Hormuz and is one of few export routes that doesn't require transiting through the strait. 3 Indian nationals were injured in the attack. Iran claimed it was not responsible. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., a man who scaled the Frederick Douglass Bridge to protest the war in Iran remained on the bridge overnight and into a 5th consecutive day. Guido Reichstatter, a veteran and father of 2 from Florida, said in a statement, quote, "I'm calling on the people of the United States to bring an immediate end to the Trump regime's illegal war in Iran and the removal of the regime's power through mass, nonviolent, direct action and non-cooperation," unquote. Iran executed 3 men on Sunday in connection with anti-government protests earlier this year. Mehdi Razouli, Mohammad Reza Miri, and Ibrahim Dolatabadi were all hanged in Mashhad. According to Iran Human Rights Monitor, Iran carried out 656 executions in the first 3 months this year. Since March, during the U.S.-Israeli war in Iran, there have been 24 political executions.
I mean, You do wonder, though, how many of these are actually like spies, right?
Meanwhile, Nobel Peace Laureate Narges Mohammadi has been hospitalized in critical condition after collapsing in Zanjan prison. She suffered a heart attack in March and has since experienced chest pain, severe headaches, and double vision. But authorities continue to deny her transfer to specialist care in Tehran. Mohammadi has been arrested 13 times and sentenced to a cumulative 31 years in prison. She received the Nobel Peace Prize in 2023 for her advocacy against torture and the death penalty in Iran. In Gaza, Israeli strikes killed at least 3 Palestinians in separate attacks Monday. Earlier today, an Israeli drone attack killed a Palestinian in Gaza City, leaving several others badly injured. On Sunday, an Israeli military broadcaster reported its forces had expanded control of the Gaza Strip to nearly 60% of the territory and were prepared to resume a full-scale assault if ordered. In the occupied West Bank, Israeli forces shot and killed a 26-year-old Palestinian man Monday as they raided a busy commercial area of Nablus. Nayef Samaroblus died after he was shot in the head. He'd reportedly just dropped his wife at a nearby hospital to give birth to their first child. At least 4 others, including 2 children, were struck and wounded by live ammunition. The U.S. military says it launched another strike on a vessel in the Caribbean, killing 2 people Monday. The Trump administration once again claimed the vessel was carrying drugs without providing any evidence. Since September, the Pentagon says it's killed at least 188 people in strikes on boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. The attacks have been widely condemned as illegal. Ukraine's interior minister says Russian attacks on Monday killed 14 people and wounded at least 60 others across multiple regions of Ukraine, with reports of heavy shelling and damage to residential areas. Russia's latest assault came as President Vladimir Putin said he would declare a unilateral ceasefire in Ukraine for Friday and Saturday as Russia marks Victory Day, commemorating the 81st anniversary of the defeat of Nazi Germany in World War II. Meanwhile, Russia faces a growing environmental disaster along its Black Sea coast after Ukraine struck the oil refining port of Tuapse for the fourth time in less than 3 weeks. The attacks created large oil spills, huge clouds of acrid smoke, and toxic black rain that fell on residents and contaminated more than 30 miles of coastline. In New Orleans, a federal appeals court blocked criminal court clerk Calvin Duncan from taking office Monday, which was scheduled to be his first day on the job. Duncan won election to the post in November, just 5 years after his release from prison after serving 28 years for a murder he did not commit. He was exonerated in 2021 and earned his law degree a year later at age 60. His position was eliminated last Friday when the Republican governor, Jeff Landry, signed legislation abolishing it. Governor Landry also canceled upcoming primary elections following Thursday's Supreme Court ruling, which struck down the last remaining major provision of the Voting Rights Act. On Monday, protesters marched through the streets of New Orleans, demanding an end to racist gerrymandering of Louisiana's congressional maps and the reinstatement of Calvin Duncan to his elected position.
Please?
You know, Calvin Duncan won a race with 68% of the vote. You know, so that's the citizens of New Orleans. I think that should be honored and respected.
Yeah, no shit.
And the fact that it's not, I think anybody who have a sense of right and wrong should stand up against that.
Hell yeah.
Because that's a direct strike against democracy. And if we don't stand against this, then, you know, America is just dissolving, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Alabama state legislature adjourned a special session Monday after demonstrators entered the State House in Montgomery to protest Republican plans to adopt a gerrymandered map that dilutes the power of black voters. Currently, an injunction bars Alabama from redrawing its congressional maps before 2030. But following the Supreme Court's ruling last week gutting the Voting Rights Act, Republican Attorney General Steve Marshall filed an emergency motion asking a court to lift the prohibition. This is Dee Reed, an organizer with Black Lives Matter.
It is a strategic attempt to erase the Voting Rights Act, which we know is our strongest protection against disenfranchisement. Protections that were not given. Protections that were fought for right here in Alabama by the people from Selma, by the people from Greenville, by the people from Birmingham, and by the people from Montgomery.
A new investigation by the Washington Post looks at the increasing use of force by guards against immigrants detained in ICE jails nationwide. The Post found nearly 800 cases in which ICE guards used physical violence or deployed chemical agents on jailed immigrants during Trump's first year back in office, a 37% increase compared to the previous year. The skyrocketing use of force comes as the Trump administration packs ICE jails beyond their capacity as part of his mass deportation campaign. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security has shuttered its internal watchdog offices that track the abuse of immigrants in custody. The U.S. Supreme Court Monday stepped in to block a lower court ruling that would have cut off access to the abortion pill mifepristone for millions of people nationwide. The order was signed by Justice Samuel Alito, who put a one-week hold on major changes to how the pill can be prescribed, temporarily restoring nationwide telehealth and mail access through May 11th. The temporary pause gives the Supreme Court time to consider next steps in the case as it weighs emergency requests filed by the manufacturers of mifepristone. In India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Hindu Nationalist Party, BJP, is tightening its political grip after winning a key legislative election in one of India's most populous states, West Bengal. The victory brought an end to 15 years of rule by Mamata Banerjee, who is one of Modi's most outspoken opponents. In the run-up to the election, an estimated 9 million people were stripped of their right to vote, removed from the voter registration in a move that disproportionately targeted Muslims in West Bengal.
Fucking Modi, what the fuck?
2026 Pulitzer Prize winners were announced on Monday. Palestinian photographer Sahar Al-Gora and New York Times contributor won the prize for breaking news photography for his work documenting Israel's war and siege on Gaza. M. Gesson of the New York Times won the Pulitzer Prize for opinion writing. Meanwhile, a special citation was awarded to Miami Herald investigative journalist Julie Brown for her groundbreaking reporting in 2017 and 18 that exposed Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking network. In Wisconsin, animal rights advocates reached a deal with Ridgeland Farms to secure the release of 1,500 beagles bred for medical experimentation. Their victory came after hundreds of activists attempted to enter a property owned by Ridgeland Farms, where beagles are held in brutal conditions, subjected to surgeries without anesthesia and other abuses. The protest earlier this month led to the arrest of at least 25 people, with police injuring scores of activists at the action. And in New York, this year's Met Gala at the Metropolitan Museum of Art faced protests on Monday. The event was sponsored by Amazon's billionaire founder Jeff Bezos and his wife Lauren Sanchez Bezos. Ahead of the gala, the activism group Everyone Hates Elon projected video interviews with Amazon workers onto the Bezos' Manhattan penthouse, alongside slogans including, "If you can buy the Met Gala, you can pay more taxes," and "No red carpet for Trump's billionaires."
He's my boss.
On Friday, the group placed hundreds of bottles of fake urine inside the Metropolitan Museum of Art, referring to complaints by Amazon workers of having to skip bathroom breaks and urinate in bottles. The group also plastered ads across the city reading, quote, "The Bezos Met Gala, brought to you by the company that powers ICE," a reference to Amazon's cloud computing contract with ICE. Amazon's labor union founder, Chris Smalls, was arrested outside the Met Gala after allegedly jumping a barricade. Meanwhile, labor unions staged a ball without billionaires in Manhattan's meatpacking district as an alternative fashion show to the Met Gala. Amazon, Whole Foods, Washington Post, Starbucks, and Uber workers walked the runway in looks by immigrant designers. This is SEIU President April Verrett.
They can try to take our rights. They can try to redraw the lines. They can try to control the systems, but they will never, ever be able to replicate the brilliance, the creativity, the resilience of the people they are trying to hold down. So this ball without billionaires is not just about fashion. It is about power. It's about telling the truth, that people who sew and care and drive and cook and clean and secure and those that create are the ones who make everything possible. Labor is art.
No shit.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman in Toronto, speaking at Radio Days North America. Juan Gonzalez is in Chicago. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel.
Go watch your movie. Shit's fucking great.
I just think that it is instructive for people to understand what the incentives are behind the politics that are frustrating to them. Like, why is there this entire infrastructure that exists that is pushing away the base's requests and demands or what they want the party to look like? Like, because it's not, if we're just having a battle of ideas, right, then we know who wins the day. But this is the kind of this is what we're up against. This is what we're up against.
Sham of democracy. From Sam.
Yeah.
The McMurrow thing, like, I still can't, like, I don't think that there has been a clip that has been more seared in my mind when she was talking about
I know
Medicare for all. It is
I know.
insane.
Agreed.
How that clip plays in my head whenever we're talking about any of this stuff.
And even
honestly,
if she doesn't believe it and was just using it as a way to discredit Abdullah Sayed, who's the Medicare for All guy, it shows a complete lack of vision and a cynicism that is basically really, I would say, disqualifying from constituting yourself as a progressive or calling yourself as such.
It was so cynical. And she wasn't addressing Abdul El Sayed at all in that.
No.
It was just her attacking not just the idea of Medicare for all. We're like, I really like Obama would be like, the country's not ready for that,
right.
or we don't want to lose our private insurance, or people, there's all sorts of like hemming and hawing you can do about why not Medicare for all. That falls apart upon scrutiny, but it is contained in terms of like an assault on what would be an incredibly popular
policy.
Yeah. But what she did was basically say, like, you don't want the government involved in that because you'll have people like Donald Trump in charge of it.
Huh?
And it's true, you don't want Donald Trump in charge of your government, but you could deploy that argument against Medicare.
Any government program.
You could deploy that argument against Medicaid. In fact, they're kicking right now, as a result of that big, beautiful bill, millions of people off of Medicaid. Nebraska was just the one, they instituted this on Friday. You could make that argument about Social Security. You don't want Donald Trump in charge of your retirement. I mean, it was so cynical. And, I think I am not, someone who I think, like, as far as, like, cynicism goes, like, I get it. But to take out a bedrock principle of not just progressivism, but I mean, that's the fundamental to the Democratic Party. I don't know what's more fundamental than Social Security and Medicare.
It's also why I hate the anti-tax movement stuff that was really the only misstep that Chris Van Hollen has had, and I know he has an explanation for it. You asked him about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't here for that, unfortunately. But even whatever Katie Porter is doing in that California governor's race, we should not be attacking taxation as a principle. We should not be attacking government as a principle and its foundational functions. It shows a complete lack of vision, and the exact lack of vision that led us to this moment.
And this vision is in fact the one that Bill Clinton rode into power on in the 90s.
Yeah.
This is the entire Bill Clinton DLC sort of idea of all this stuff that they tell us are so-called principles are actually hindrances for getting into power and working out deals with Tyson or Walmart or whoever.
Jordy, PhD on the IM, and then we'll go to the front half, said, that said, I think both, this story makes it more likely that McMorrow or Tallarico are a new Fetterman. Let me just make this clear. There is no possibility of a new Fetterman, and I'll tell you why.
Oh.
There are always people who tack to the center once they get elected, particularly in states that go back and forth between, Republican and Democratic senators. But Fetterman has lit his career on fire. Fetterman is not going to get reelected. And so...
There's something wrong with him.
There's something wrong with him.
Yeah.
I mean, Kristen Sinema also was one of these people. And you could see what she was doing from the very beginning. I mean, she's now a lobbyist for, was it crypto?
Some AI data center
something
project.
like that. And
after, I guess, having an affair with her bodyguard and also using her kind of government office to secure Taylor Swift tickets. Yeah.
Girl boss.
Some people are very, very intent about their musical, having the opportunity of musical.
Oh, she's got great taste. I'm shocked she's a Taylor Swift fan.
And look, you could say they may turn into a Lieberman, or they may turn into a
Chris Coons.
Well, Chris Coons was always there. He's coming from like, the business center of the world, essentially. Yeah. But like, some of like a Tester-y, in some respects, although Tester was somewhat populist. I mean, it is possible, but nobody's turning into a Fetterman. Yeah. I cannot get that response to Medicare for All out of my mind more than any other clip I think I've seen. And I'm talking about, we watch a lot of like horrible clips like that we don't put on air. This is the one that's seared into my brain.
Also, yeah, Jordy PhD, the story makes it more likely that McMorrow or Tallarico are a new Fetterman. I think it's McMorrow, there's still a primary to be had here. So we still have a say in who's going to be the nominee here. And I want to just say, Haley Stevens, everybody that's trying to get her to drop out, they are just disgusting anti-feminist garbage that want to see women fail.
Let's see a strong woman.
Haley Stevens really just stick it out through the end. But Tallarico, there's a fear there. We've already said that he's probably not going to govern as one of them if he gets elected as one of the more progressive Democrats, but he's running on an anti-billionaire thing. Like I think that matters. I think how he's run is very different than some other campaigns in redder states. And the fact that all of his ads are about, it's the billionaires that are ripping you off. It's not the immigrants. It's not trans people. And he does it with this kind of, dorky Christian kindness stuff. Like that's, I think, fundamentally different than how other Democrats in these situations have run in the past. So I think so too. I'm more optimistic about Tallarico, maybe even than you.
I mean, look, I think if we get a Democrat from Texas, it is a positive.
Exactly. I mean, even with Fetterman, it's like, okay, do we want Dr. Oz in there instead?
Right.
No, we don't. No. And even then, it's like, okay, he's going to be replaced by Summer Lee then, because we didn't give Oz the benefit of incumbency, even if you act like they're the same.
Yes.
So like people being this whole meme of like, we got to avoid ever casting a ballot for a future Fetterman. It's like, yeah, we should be very, vigilant on questions like particularly Palestine. But I mean, I still think people are a little bit too precious about it.
It's going to be really interesting to see what happens, who ends up getting Fetterman's seat. And somebody just said, like, well, he's going to switch to a Republican. He's going to run there. Good luck. Good luck. Because unless he gets 100% of, like, Republican support, he's done. He's cooked.
2028 is going to be a tough environment.
Look, the argument would be, Fetterman or Khan or Lamb. And the reality is such that at this point, Fetterman has been an incredible annoyance, and he may be even more problematic if the Democrats take the Senate. Yeah. And he is the determinant vote. Then it's a real problem. But as it stands now, we got to wait and see who ends up with that seat when Fetterman has to run for re-election. Because if that seat moves to the left, in the final analysis, you may not be able to point to any legislation that Fetterman was able to kill. I mean, he hasn't done, outside of being incredibly annoying and sort of, he hasn't really done any damage as of yet, it seems to me. There's potential he could.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But it's going to be interesting. But yes, Nicola says, I think it's a mistake to leave the stroke out aspect of Fetterman. Without a doubt. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's just no way this guy,
is mentally competent.
Well, he's not even acting in his best interest as I can understand tacking to the center if you're in Pennsylvania and walking some type of line. Right. But this dude lit his career on fire. He is done. DONE.
I'm glad you said Summer Lee, and I know we'll go into the fun half, but did you saw that Bob Casey is already with like over 2 years until 2028 says he's running for that Fetterman seat and is primarying him.
Oh, is Connor Lamb also saying that?
Connor Lamb's at least flirted with it, but Casey has essentially officially declared that he's going to run again. And I would love for us to upgrade. So I know Summer Lee, maybe that's not what she wants to do, but I think Pennsylvania Democrats are probably worried statewide if they don't have some Western PA representation to win races in the state. And she would be great on that front as long as the Democratic money machine doesn't get in her way.
We'll see. We got plenty of time to be talking about 2028 28.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every
Thank you, Senator Coons.
Thank you, Chairman Grassley, and to each of you and your families, congratulations. And thank you for raising your hand to serve and in some cases continuing to serve the public.
Thank you.
Mr. Mark, if I might, just tell me about the 22nd Amendment. What does it provide?
Yeah. Come on, Mark.
The 22nd Amendment, Senator, my career has mostly been in criminal prosecution.
Yeah.
I haven't had an opportunity to use that one specifically.
Anyone able to help on the 22nd Amendment to the United States Constitution?
Very nice.
Well, Senator, I believe it is the amendment that deals with a two-term limitation on
Correct.
the service
It
of the
states
president.
no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. Mr. Mark, is President Trump eligible to run for president again in 2028?
Senator, without considering all the facts and looking at everything, depending on what the situation is, this to me strikes as more of a hypothetical of something that could be
It's not a
raised.
hypothetical. Has President Trump been elected president twice?
Yes.
President Trump has been certified the President of the United States 2 times.
Is he eligible to run for a third term under our Constitution?
I would have to review the
All I need to
actual
tell
wording
you
of
is
it.
the language of the constitutional amendment that makes it clear that no, he is not eligible to run for a third term. Anybody else brave enough to say that the Constitution of the United States prevents President Trump from seeking a third term? Anybody willing to apply the Constitution by its plain language in the 22nd Amendment? Nobody. All right, let's move on. Mr. Coons, what is res judicata? How does it apply?
It's a judicial doctrine that prevents a judgment that has been, in one case, applies to a, you can't go into court after a final judgment in one case and have it, and litigate the same things again.
How is that distinct from collateral estoppel, which precludes litigating the same things?
Res judicata, one involves the same party, the other involves the same things.
And what's a requirement for these two doctrines to apply?
Notice, opportunity to be heard, final judgment of a court of competent jurisdiction.
Anyone disagree? If I might, Mr. Coons, is it pronounced the same way mine is?
Yes, it is.
Coons?
Yes, Senator.
My family's name was spelled that way when we came to the country. So, you were one of 3 judges on the panel in Alexander v. Trump, where the president was suing the Pulitzer Prize Board for defamation. When did your work on that case begin? When were you assigned this case to decide?
I first learned of that case in approximately January of 2025.
Not when the briefs had been filed?
No, Senator. The way it works in our court is we are not assigned cases when the briefs are filed. Once the case is ready for disposition, the clerk randomly assigns it to the judges in the court.
And when did you first speak to Senator Scott's office about your interest in a district court seat in the Southern District of Florida?
I mean, I've had many conversations with Senator Scott's office. The one about an interest in the Southern District of Florida, I believe, was in November of 2024. I don't know the date, but it's in my Senate Judiciary questionnaire.
And when did you release the opinion ruling in President Trump's favor in this matter?
So I learned of the case in January of 2025, and the opinion was released in, I believe it was February 12th, 2025.
Sure. That's correct. So you issued an opinion where one of the litigants before you was the president and in favor of the president, while you were in active conversation with the senator's office about seeking a federal judicial appointment. Is that correct?
For a position I did not, in fact, get, Senator.
How did you end up in front of me today?
It's a different position, Senator.
Did you consider recusing yourself from that particular decision?
No. In
terms of the munitions we used and what we paid for it. But when you add to that the damage that was done to our bases and today's dollars for buying replacement munitions and replacement aircrafts, what has the total cost been over the last 60 days?
That number right now reflects the total cost that we're seeing.
Including buying in today's dollars the new weapons and replacements and including the damage there? That's your testimony?
If there's adjustments to that, I would defer to the comptroller on that.
And how much are you seeing in terms of, are you asking in terms of supplemental funding just for the Iran mission from this committee?
If and when a supplemental is submitted, the majority of it would not just be for,
what would be the ballpark for Iran?
Munitions related to the entirety of what we want to get done.
A number, what would you submit?
It would be within on Iran, it would be less than 25 billion, but there's a lot more we would ask for beyond just Iran.
You're saying it's 25 billion. Okay, I would just, if you come back, you want to revise those numbers because all the experts are disagreeing with you when it comes to today's dollars and damage, but you can revise it. How much did it cost American taxpayers in terms of the strike to the Iranian school where kids were killed? Do you have that number in terms of the missiles we used?
As I've said, that unfortunate situation remains under investigation.
You don't know how much it costs the taxpayer?
But I wouldn't tie a cost to that, to anything.
It's a reasonable question, no, sir? I mean, our taxpayer money was going there. Do you know how much it will cost Americans in terms of their increased cost in gas and food over the next year because of the Iran war?
I would simply ask you what the cost is of an Iranian nuclear bomb.
I'm going to give you that opportunity.
I would simply ask you what the... you're playing gotcha questions about domestic things. I'm not...
You're saying it's a gotcha question to ask what it's going to be in terms of the increased cost of gas.
Why won't you answer what it costs to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb?
I give you that, sir, but let me...
What would it cost? What would you pay to ensure Iran doesn't get a nuclear bomb? What would you pay?
I reclaim my time. Do you not know? You had no one do the analysis of what the increased cost of gas and food on the American people are going to be?
What is the cost of Iran holding that straight at issue with nuclear weapons?
It's $631 billion, which means it's an increase of $5,000 a year for American households. Now, let me give you this point. You're saying that your operation is preventing a nuclear Iran. Will you acknowledge that there is an economic cost to the American people for doing what you believe is necessary to make Iran denuclear? Will you acknowledge the economic cost?
We have an incredible economic team that's managing this
Fuck
better
you,
than
Hag's breath.
Yeah, but
what the previous administration did to our economy. What the previous administration did for inflation.
You know what's upsetting? I reclaim my time.
With COVID, and you're going to lecture this administration about the economy?
You know what is upsetting?
Incredible.
You didn't even do the analysis on how much it's costing the American people. It's one thing if you said, okay, it costs the American people $5,000, but we think it's worth it. That's what we've done in World War II and other wars. Here's what it costs. You got to pay for it. You don't even know what the average American is paying. You don't know what we paid in terms of the missiles that hit the Iranian school. You don't know what we're paying in terms of gas. You don't know what we're paying in terms of food. Your 25 billion number is totally off. It's the incompetence. It's the incompetence. Let me ask you this. Certainly, maybe here we'll find agreement. There were still 440 pounds of low-enriched uranium, correct, when President Obama, after the JCPOA? Is that accurate?
The amounts and types are classified.
Okay. Will you acknowledge that there were 970 pounds of uranium enriched after Trump tore up the JCPOA?
The JCPOA was a terrible deal that allowed Iran a path to a nuclear bomb.
You deal with vague platitudes. I'm asking you about numbers. Like, you don't know what gas costs, you don't know what food costs, you don't know what the operation costs. You know, I get sound bites, but how about numbers? Do you know how much the enriched uranium was after you ripped up the JCPOA? Trump did.
I'll give you a number. I know that, as was stated by early on, the price of gas is twice as expensive in California, your home state, as anywhere else in the country because of the horrible policies your state pursued.
You know what? It used to be that type of stuff worked, and then you started to lose the people that you campaigned you wanted to be for, because you said you wouldn't get us into bad wars. You said you would bring down the prices. You know what I'm sad for? I'm sad for all the people who voted for Trump. I'm sad for them because you betrayed them.
Yeah,
you betrayed a lot of that MAGA base. And you know who knows that? J.D. Vance knows that.
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Nebraska, Mr. Bacon.
Mr. Bacon. Mr. Bacon from Nebraska. That's right. We got Mr. Bacon up in here. Hey, Hag's breath. Hag's breath.
The UAE says that Iran has resumed attacks as the U.S. is attempting to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. It is unclear. Trump announced a Project Freedom, and then the administration walked it back. In the meantime, in the hours before Trump announced Project Freedom, somebody placed a $720 million bet on shorts, on oil shorts. And as soon as he announced Project Freedom, the price of oil drops. Great time if you've actually placed some shorts on the price of oil to buy oil to resell at a higher amount. Trump's administration walks it back. I mean, this whole thing could just be like, and Exxon and Chevron, I think it is, announced that they would not be increasing production because why would they? It cost them, I'm going to make up numbers just to show you the dynamic. They sell oil at $50 a barrel. It costs them $20 to extract it, $10 to ship it, $10 to refine it. I'm just making up those numbers. And they sell it for $50 and they make $10. I'm sure the numbers are higher, the margins, but this is just to help me with the math. And then the price of oil shoots up to $100 a barrel. And it costs them $20 to extract it, $10 to ship it, maybe $15 now because it's going all around the world, and $10 to refine it. And then all of a sudden, they're not making $5-10 a barrel. They're making $60 a barrel. And then the price of oil goes up even higher, and they're like, oh, you know those the drilling that we stopped because it was too expensive? Because instead of $20 to extract it, it cost us $40. Well, now that the price of oil is at $115, we can spend $40 on the price of oil, and we can just go to full refining capacity. Once they hit refining capacity, they're done, and they have no excuse. You know, they're like, we can't do it. Oopsie. But we can't help it that our oil is being bid up to $160 dollars a barrel, or some people are saying maybe $200 a barrel in the future. We'll see. But this is the dynamic. Meanwhile, it turns out that the Secretary of Defense, nay War, or Secretary of War, nay Defense, I don't know how he goes. War. Has been lying to the country as to what Iran was able to do in the early days of this war when we struck them.
No.
I know this is going to come as a shock, but the $50 billion or so that we have spent at this point, whatever, I don't know, the official record is probably close to $30 billion at this point, very likely is a severe undercount if we ever intend to rebuild our bases, which of course they do. Here is this report from CNN.
Allies in the region, there's a dilemma. In some ways, Iran's show of force makes the U.S.'s presence in the region even more necessary to Gulf security. But there's a new reality here, which is that U.S. military installations, previously seen as formidable fortresses, have turned into sitting targets. As a Saudi source told me, the war has shown Saudi Arabia, that's the U.S.'s longest-standing Arab ally, that the alliance with the U.S. cannot be exclusive, and it is not, in their words, impregnable. To get a sense of just how vulnerable U.S. facilities have become, have a look at this. It's the war room at Qatar's El Udeid Air Base, the theater command and control hub for U.S. air power across 21 nations. Struck not just once, but twice, and according to a U.S. source, causing significant damage. The base had been largely evacuated at this point, and no casualties were reported. Iran's visibility over its targets has never been clearer. In 2024, according to the Financial Times, Tehran secretly acquired a Chinese satellite, known as the TEE-01B, a massive upgrade from its own satellites. That means that Tehran went from looking at images of this quality to this.
Holy shit.
This is the first time America has fought an adversary with satellites that capture high-res imagery, almost as detailed as its own. As the scale of the damage comes into focus, many will wonder whether America's presence, once a protective shield in the Middle East, has turned into its Achilles heel.
It has.
Tamara Khablawi, CNN, London.
Damn.
All right, responding to CNN's findings, a Pentagon official said the Defense Department does not discuss damage assessments, but U.S. forces remain fully operational with the same readiness and combat effectiveness. CNN also understands from its sources that the vast majority of U.S. troops evacuated their positions in the Middle East, with many working from the relative safety of hotels and apartments in the Arabian Peninsula.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Military hotels?
Huh?
Brian, you were in the military, right?
Yes, I was.
What are these military hotels?
Are they saying barracks? Or are they saying...
Or the Hilton Human Shield?
Yeah, I haven't...
Or are they saying they are hiding amongst the civilian population?
That sounds familiar to me.
Well, good thing there's nothing in recent precedent that would make those be unsafe places for people to...
You know what also sounds familiar to me is the downplaying of damage from Iranian strikes.
A lot of this sounds familiar.
It's almost like the Israelification of U.S. kind of foreign policy, although it's really just, according to many, books and also just analysis of this, the Palestine Laboratory amongst it by Anthony Lowenstein. No, we test weapons technology and precedent within Gaza with Israel. And it's not just weapons technology now. It's literally like, what can we get away with? Israel does that for us. And so now we're just double tapping girls' schools and saying, whoopsie. But I mean, they've lied about a few different things. Crystal Ball came on and speculated, and I think with a lot of good evidence and reason behind it, that the airman that was resurrected on Easter,
Jesus Christ,
exactly right, was not there for what the
they
Pentagon
were trying
was
the
saying.
uranium recovery stuff that was foolhardy from the beginning, and it went poorly, and then they had to cover their ass.
Yes, and then they also trickled out the deaths on the bases that were initially reported that they denied, and then they were like, okay, actually these people died. And now, they're claiming that...
I saw Pat Ryan question Hegseth about one of those bases where there was absolutely no defenses, and six servicemen died.
And they're now claiming, that Iran didn't strike this ship, which Iran is claiming that they did. And I saw that the British have confirmed it as well. They're just trying to cover up the fact that Iran is continuously humiliating the United States. And Trump keeps looking for, I saw Trita Parsi describe it in his book, or in his article about how Trump keeps looking for this silver bullet that's going to bring the Iranians to heel, and it just has not happened yet. And once again, the administration's closure of the Strait of Hormuz, it's benefiting Iran because they are trying to, it's still, even if Iran is temporarily taking a hit and they can't export all the oil that they want, it still is limiting global supply, which is what Iran wants to do to make the West feel pain so this doesn't happen again. So it's just lies on top of lies about this stuff. But the more morale gets worse, we're going to see more of these leaks about how they're lying to the press about what the damage looks like.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours.
This is true, folks.
All right, you may remember over the weekend, Trump had to go to the dentist, this unplanned health visit. And he held an event at the White House after this visit where he seems to be falling asleep again. Let's play the clip. Okay, here he is standing up, completely falling asleep because that's how boring and uninteresting and just horrible the people in his administration are. He can fall asleep standing up. And it also sparked concerns about the clearest signs of his dementia yet. Let's play the clip.
Like, we have a war right now, and
isn't good.
Went to 6 weeks. They said, what's taking so long? We were in Vietnam 19 years. We're in Iraq for many years, 10.
All right, I've heard enough. I've heard enough. We are in week 10. And the commander-in-chief saying we're in week 6 when he has been sleeping for the last 4 weeks, for sure. We have videographic evidence day after day after day. And then this is just, everybody just goes on in this country it's just wild and such a disgrace that so many people who know better, who used to have some bit of a spine, have completely debased and devalued themselves for that guy. Yeah. For that guy who appears drunk. I mean, he appears like he's slurring all the time. It's just, oh my gosh.
You know what's the only time he's awake in his cabinet meetings is when they're praising him. And when they start talking about anything other than how great he is, it's like lights out. Sleepy Joe Biden, really? Like, you have the balls to do that? And I think it is hysterical that everybody around, that you just said everybody around him is so boring. Yes, just
they are. There's not one person in his administration that says anything interesting, that says anything thought-provoking.
No wonder he falls asleep.
It is just this ridiculous la-la land that they live in, where they attribute that this guy that we've all seen is somehow competent, that he can be the leader of the United States of America, and he can command the military. It's just, it's such a disgrace. It is such an absolute disgrace. And we have this man who is actively committing suicide of our country every single day, in all of these uninteresting dipshits like that girl, Loeffler. She's got a bank account that could choke a bull. What is she doing with her money? Kissing the ass of this dipshit. It became clear that Trump's advisors are not being honest with him about what Americans think of the war. Let's play the clip.
With everything, but they said 32% of the people are against President Trump. Well, when you explain it, like, is it okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon? It wouldn't be 32%. But even if you said that, there'd be a 32% because the polls are fake.
I mean, what are we doing here? You know, like, seriously, every day this goes on, and I'll turn on cable news because a lot of people kind of still are programmed to get their news that way. So I'll turn it on kind of as an ambient background noise. And it rarely ever talks about this diminished intellectual and physical decline of this man. And we have a Pentagon that's lying to the American public about what's happening. We appear to be carrying out the wishes of a foreign government, Israel, what they want. They want to balkanize Iran. None of this benefits any American. It certainly doesn't benefit the first-time voters that came out in droves because they believed that this man saw them, and they believed that he was going to deliver something for them, that this man had a big piece of the American pie and he was going to slice up some more pieces and serve it to them. It's just, what are we doing here?
You know, it's just, he gets up there, it just drives me crazy. He gets up there and he bungles the whole presentation about the polls anyway, but he knows they're against him, but he can't understand why. And then he's like, goes back to his default setting. Anything that's said that's not flattering about me is fake news. And I just think about how he has been saying this for over a decade. And now we're in a situation where 30% of the U.S. population, it completely denies reality because this man says it's fake. I mean, and right? I can't wait for the studies and the documentary of that for 10 years, he's been lying to these people. They believe it. And all he has to do is say fake news. And people completely divorce themselves from reality.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The documentary isn't going to reveal anything new that we already don't know about cults. This is, you and I have watched cult documentaries for years, Angie, and there's no new information here.
No.
This is a classic cult, a fascistic cult. That's what it is. There's not going to be any new reveal. It's going to be, this is the leader, loyalty at all costs, and so on. There's not going to be any difference between this and the people that go to these evangelical megachurches every day and don't critically think and are told you have to have blind faith. Only Trump can fix it. Only Jesus can fix it. It's the same thing. It's a story as old as time. These people are incapable of critical thinking and operate from a very fear-based position. And he actually seems to think that energy prices are going down. Let's play the clip.
Oh,
except we were Everybody was wrong. They thought that energy would be at $300, right? $300 a barrel, and it's like at 100. And I think going down.
So he doesn't even know what he's talking about. And the horrible thing about this is that so many people are paying double what they used to pay for gas.
Yep.
And this is a time period in the United States where income disparity is at an all-time high. And when people are living paycheck to paycheck and they're still having to drive the same amount of
businesses
distances
are
to get to
closing.
work, to get to daycares, to get to school, etc. And all of a sudden that's double. There's just a lot of suffering there. This man has never pumped. I guarantee you, he has never taken the gas nozzle and put it in a car and looked at what the amount is. He has no clue. This man didn't know what groceries were, and he thought it was an antique word, an old-fashioned word, groceries. This man is so out of touch, but it shows you why. Why did so many people clamor onto him? Why did so many people fall for this demagogue con man? Because both parties have left working class Americans in the dust. And he came in and messaged in a very con artist, opportunistic way and told them, I'm going to fix this. And spoke fifth grade. He speaks at a fifth grade speaking level in a very plain spoken way. He simplified his lies and said, I'm going to fix everything on day one. Where have they heard that shit before? Oh, at their mega churches. All you have to do is say, Jesus, please forgive me. And nobody cares that you pulled a train with your church staff. It's just, it's just,
pull the train.
It's really, really sad because there's so much American suffering right now. People cannot afford this. Our country cannot afford these billionaires. Our country cannot afford to have this man ripping it to shreds with an assist from the Supreme Court and all of these industry titans. It's just disgusting.
I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but he said the barrels of energy, like dumb shit. It's oil. You can't. It's just. I can't even imagine how stupid he is. He is so stupid.
All right, and then we have Trump on the campaign. Here's his campaign promise on energy prices when he was on the campaign trail. Play the clip.
My plan will cut energy prices in half or more than that within 12 months of taking office. It will be an economic revival of our country like no one has ever seen before. Energy was what caused our problem initially. Energy is going to bring us back. That means we're going down and getting gasoline below $2 a gallon.
Okay. That back there, it said the Economic Club of New York. I don't know anything about them, but when the autopsy's done on this, I get why the cultists went there. That's a story as old as time. All of these institutions that are supposed to value facts and data and the truth so that each generation takes those truths and they have this baseline, and then we can get better and progress forward and forward.
Yeah, right.
That has allowed this regressive, lying con artist to stand up there and speak like a fourth grader. I'm going to get the gas prices lower in 12 months. Okay, how? Well, of course you didn't. In record time, you did what every Republican president before you has done. Lied to working class people, said that wealth will trickle down. It never does. Started wars. The only difference between Trump and a George W. Bush or Ronald Reagan is Trump did it faster. Record time. He wrecked our entire country. And then in a wild turn of events, he's putting up banners and statues of himself and imagery of himself all over the United States. And all of these alpha men seem to just be like, oh my God, I'm going to wear a Trump pin and I can't wait to have Trump on my money and Trump in my passport. Fucking grow up, queens. I can't even, I can't even wrap my head around the collusion with this. All right. I have a great way for you to mix things up this year for your mother on Mother's Day. You do not have to buy her the standard robe, the standard house.
that right-wing people will go and get investors, billionaire money, and they buy engagement, they buy followers, and they sort of propel themselves to the top of the heap, and they fake it till they make it, and then eventually it's kind of sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Everybody does that.
Everybody does not do that.
Well, we've never done anything like
Everybody
that.
does not do that. Two people.
The Daily Wire, apparently it's being reported, has laid off 50%, half of the company.
No.
Half of the company, half of the people working there were laid off at Daily Wire. There's a lot of reasons for this, I'm sure. You'll recall Daily Wire tried to do a cartoon.
Yes, you can. People should check out Jose, his video essay on the Daily Wire and their forays into children's entertainment. Because
Bent Key, it was a whole channel for children's programming.
to combat Miss Rachel and other scary, pro-Hamas factions that are trying to indoctrinate your children. But it was a big failure because Boring and the rest of the Daily Wire team anticipated that they could ride What Is a Woman's Success into other areas that would expand into, like, say, family programming to unwoke your children. But it turns out the people that signed up for What Is a Woman kind of just signed up for that whole very narrow transphobia thing that had the contours of a documentary while being a propaganda outfit, and that children just want to watch, like, children's programming. Right. That maybe they've heard about from their friends or other parents too, like
kids love to watch something that none of their friends watch.
The big issue, and this guy talked about it, was, well, first off, we should just say, in a general way, remember they had that movie Ballers or something
Lady
like that?
Ballers.
Lady Ballers or whatever it was. You have to understand that Ben Shapiro desperately wanted to be a comedy writer. Desperately. And I will tell you, like, the biggest track you can follow to be a comedy writer in Hollywood is to do what, Brian? Is to go to what university?
Harvard.
That is right. The number of offices I would walk in when I was an actor doing sitcoms, and I would walk into a room and they would go, "Where are you from?" And I go, "Well, I've been living in Boston for the past, like, in Cambridge." And they're like, "Oh,
Cambridge.
I lived in Cambridge for a while."
Yeah.
And they would never say, "I went to Harvard."
Dude, I got that on the subway this fucking weekend. I was wearing a Red Sox hat. The guy goes, "I lived in Cambridge
I
for a
lived
little
in
while."
Cambridge.
No, it's a bit in 30 Rock where he's no, not Tufts, right? So yeah.
And but he could never break in. I don't think he made $1 from Hollywood. And like,
he wasn't on the Lampoon.
I don't think he was. I don't think he ever made. Maybe he did. Maybe he was. I don't know.
There's no chance.
Probably not. And
this premise makes absolutely no sense.
And it was because of the wokeness. I mean, that's why he was at Breitbart. Everybody who started off at Breitbart, particularly back in the day, they resented Hollywood because they were considered unfunny, untalented people, and they desperately wanted to be in show business. And so Shapiro, when they started to make some money, and they had a ton of money poured in, we will discuss that in a moment. They're like, "Oh, now's our chance to finally get to Hollywood." Yeah. So they made a movie, and they all starred in it, like almost like a dentist would do this. Like, "Hey, I'm willing to finance the movie, but my girlfriend, she's an actress. Did you know that? She's very talented."
They put Candace Owens in a cartoon as a voice.
And then they made, exactly, and then they made their cartoon, and none of it did. And they made a kid programming, but they geared it towards the parents, because kids don't walk around going like, "I'm sick of the wokeness."
Yes.
And so they made it for the parents.
Exactly.
And promised them it'll be anti-woke. And then what happens is they have this, whatever the subscription cost to this kid service, and the kids are like, "I don't like it. I don't want to watch it." And then all of a sudden, like, when the kids can't be babysitted by your TV, you cancel.
Yeah.
But there's also another issue. And don't take my word for it. Take Milo Yiannopoulos' word for it. because about a year ago, was this about a year ago? Yep. He was on with Tim Pool, and Milo at that time decided, I'm not holding back on the secrets of how the right-wing media ecosystem works. Now, this was uncomfortable for Tim, because you'll remember this was just after it was discovered that Tim was getting paid somewhere around the neighborhood of $100,000 a video for a company that turned out to be a front for the Russian government.
Yeah, and I'll just say we picked this conversation up right after Milo realized he accidentally talked about something that implicated Tim Pool and talked about everyone implicated as idiots.
Yes.
Franken babies for paying women to birth them as a high moral standard or
sure, but in this regard, I can tell you.
No, I don't really take his word for anything. I don't take his word for anything for all kinds of reasons, particularly how he treated me. He's a liar. He's a liar.
Sure.
He's a slippery, slimy, gross.
I can
liar.
say in this one regard that involves me, it's not the case.
I don't know that. You may know that because you know things other people don't know. But it's not an unreasonable supposition that they've removed it. Look, I think we can move on from this.
Oh, pause it for a second. I just want to say, like, the person he's talking about who's a liar is Dave Rubin. Okay, that's not the point of this. But two things can be true. Go back a little bit.
Know that. You may know that because you know things other people don't know. But it's not an unreasonable supposition that they've removed it. Look, I think we can move on from this. It is no secret that a lot of bad money has gone to people on the right and on the center right. But it's typically the case that right-wing people will go and get investors rather than do advertisers, fake it till they make it, and then they'll get, sort of the big ticket advertisers. So the way Ben Shapiro, the way Candace get famous is they get Wilkes Brothers or they get some other kind of billionaire money, and they buy engagement, they buy followers, and they sort of propel themselves to the top of the heap, and they fake it till they make it, and then eventually it's kind of sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Everybody does that.
Everybody does not do that.
Well, we've never done anything like
everybody
that.
Everybody does not do that.
That's weird. That's a weird thing to say, isn't it? Everybody does that. I mean, except for we don't do that.
We know.
Not us.
This is sort of reminiscent of like nobody would buy ads on a specific YouTube channel, and then Ian says you did that on Sam Cedars' channel.
Watch this instead. More important.
Like what I'm about to suggest the Democrats do goes against like what my personal political preference would be. If I could wave a magic wand to make somebody president, I would want like Jared Polis or somebody like that who has no $5.
The governor of Colorado.
The libertarian?
Yeah.
Wait, the guy who just pardoned
the election denying lady? Yeah, the insurrectionist lady? Oh my God.
The story came out yesterday that there is a lot of anger in the Democratic caucus because the DCCC is messing with some primary races out in California and other places. We may have one or two of those progressive candidates in those races on this week or next. But there is, and look, I don't want to overstate this, but if the Democrats take the House, which I think they're going to, and if they take the Senate, which I think is possible, we're going to see this happen in a way that's very different than it's happened in the past, which is there's always going to be corporatist, establishment-minded Democrats, and hopefully they won't always be in the majority going forward, or at least in the years to come. But if the Democrats take over these things, we're going to see a bigger incoming class of progressives than I think we've seen in 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
And
good.
And I think
that's good news.
There is a sense amongst these establishment types that this is the case. This was really funny. Even Tim Miller was he Jeb Bush's campaign manager, or certainly a political advisor to Jeb Bush. Had fairly significant career as a Republican. Did not like Donald Trump.
Yeah, he was a comms guy for Jeb 2016.
And
Jeb.
Did not like. I still have the cups, right?
Wait, he was the comms director for Jeb?
Yeah.
So he's Mr. Exclamation point then, huh?
Well, he may not have come up with the logo, but
he came up with "Please clap."
Nevertheless, exactly. Nevertheless, he's at the Bulwark now. He is an avowed and never Trumper. I don't know if he considers himself a Democrat now. Maybe, I'm not sure, but his idea of being a Democrat, and unsurprisingly, does not align with mine in terms of like what kind of politics one should espouse if you're a Democrat. He's on with I don't know exactly who these people are, but I think they're more
left of center to center left streamers, I would say.
Okay, and even he sees, never mind from an ideological perspective, but simply as meeting the moment, as purely a political analysis, because you will notice that when we have conversations and when we hear from centrists and moderates and folks who think that we need to have, the abundance types, there's this dance that is played where we go from what we should do in terms of policy to what is actually going to get Democrats elected. And it bounces back and forth in the same conversation. They'll elide one for the other at various times. So strictly as a matter of electability, listen to what Tim Miller had to say to these guys who I think were not looking for him to say this.
Particularly
That's the
Hutch.
sense I get.
I don't know about the other two, but
Who
Hutch
are these
definitely.
guys? Okay. Well,
Hutch is an anti-Hassan streamer. Pisco, I think, seems pretty cool. I
know the
much about him.
Pisco guy. Yeah,
And
that's
I'm a little bit less familiar. I think I've seen some of Soy Pill's video essays,
Okay.
but I'm not sure where he's on.
I like the name Soy Pill.
Yeah, so we've had a ton of discourse in our spaces in recent kind of weeks. Some of it has related to Hassan, but it's more been about like a bigger conversation about the future of the Democratic Party. You're obviously like a Republican defector, and so I'm curious to know what you think should be the playbook for Democrats in the short term to sort of maximize electoral wins, and also like what you personally want to see, and do those things overlap?
Yeah, can I just say on just Hassan briefly? When I engaged in that discourse very early, which in retrospect was maybe a mistake, because how the hell did I know that it's all everybody want to talk about for weeks? But one of the points I made when I first engaged with it is that like the establishment Republicans, or excuse me, the establishment Democrats, I'm talking about a Freudian slip, the establishment Democrats who were going after him were like stepping on a big rake. Like this was a massive self-own, like putting out a memo that's like people shouldn't talk to Hassan is going to absolutely backfire on them. And the
Hutch's eyes
base are like the active kind of Democratic voter does not want that. And there's some category of people that do, but if anything, it will end up empowering him more to like as an anti-establishment figure who's fighting them, because that's what people are looking for right now. Look at Graham Plattner and Janet Mills, and that's exactly what's happened. And it was really dumb of the third way to do it. This is a strategic matter. My thinking, and I feel like I have good credibility on this, because like when I'm about to
for one
suggest
second, I just want to say, like, I think we have said many times similar things as a strategic matter, but that presumes what the agenda was for the third way.
Exactly.
Because I would contend that the nature of the third way, they consider themselves non-ideological in many respects, or radical centrists. But I would also contend that if you look at the waters in which they swim, the areas in which, like, what their value system is, the idea that they did this to get some broad support in the context of the Democratic Party, I think is the wrong way to assume what their agenda is.
Exactly.
Their agenda was to be able to go back to their donor base and say, look what we did to this guy who really only has who is a demon in your eyes. And so the broader implications of what they did, hard to measure.
Yep.
And so they can go back and say mission accomplished. Like, you see this, like, I mean, just go back. I use this as an example. Howard Schultz, the former head of Starbucks, he had a campaign, what was it, in 2020, right? And he hired Steve Schmidt and Bill Burton, I think it was. Was it Bill Burton? Bill Burton was an Obama guy. Schmidt, of course, was a Bush guy, I think. Oh, no, McCain guy. And you could almost see the moment that Steve Schmidt or Bill Burton, one of those two, met Howard Schultz at a party, and Howard Schultz said, "I'm thinking about running for president. Is that crazy?" And Schmidt goes, "It's not crazy."
Cha-ching.
Because I know for a fact that Schmidt made millions.
Oh, God.
And I assume Burton made millions. And the campaign lasted for like 6 to 8 months.
It's good money.
And even though there was this talk of like, are you really going to empower Trump and this and that? And it's like, this is the way that these people work. These are the third way people.
Yeah.
And so Miller is right insofar as it didn't work strategically, but he might be wrong in the assumption as to what the agenda was.
Well, and that's exactly right. It's because we don't know what's in that DNC report, that autopsy that is apparently not going to be released, but we can make certain assumptions. And by the way, it shows how deep the institutional rot is in the DNC right now that not one person has leaked this to the press. It's kind of unconscionable that they haven't done so, by the way.
It's unclear how many people have seen it.
Well, I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
And so either way, if we can assume, based on the other polling data that's been publicly available, that Israel's genocide in Gaza and the Biden administration's support for it and Harris's inability to distance herself from it has become so politically toxic within the Democratic Party primary context that approaching it, if you are a third way type, if you are a centrist, if you are a Zionist, you may advise candidates to steer away from the issue entirely. What is a way to appease a donor class of Zionists by not talking directly about Israel's genocide in Gaza? And if you're, say, Mallory McMorrow in Michigan, not going after your opponent, Abdul al-Sayed, in an explicitly Islamophobic way, because that might backfire on you in a state that has a lot of voters of that origin. You can go after Hassan Piker, even though we've seen polling that like 80% of Americans have no idea who this guy is, but he acts there as a human pinata.
He's a surrogate.
He's a surrogate or a pinata for for anybody that wants to audition for big money in Democratic primaries at a time when the stated positions that they would need to say publicly to garner that support financially would sink their campaign. So it's a very elaborate runaround, and it's also one that is entirely designed to appeal to basically millionaire and billionaire donors.
Like the people who sort of like said to Mallory McMurrow, this is what you should do, really, I have to be motivated by just like cashing a check. I'm sorry, because you can't, like, I just don't think that there's anybody who could be doing this for a significant period of time and think that was a good idea. But
But they see Stevens is tanking, and she goes like, okay, there's an opening here, potentially some money to come into my coffers. And so that is what the strategy was. And someone who's that cynical, I mean, I have deep skepticism about them, but let's keep going.
Does not want that, and there's some category of people that do, but if anything, it will end up empowering him more to, like, as an anti-establishment figure who's fighting them, because that's what people are looking for right now. Look at Graham Plattner and Janet Mills, and that's exactly what's happened. It was really dumb of the third way to do it, just as a strategic matter. My thinking. And I feel like I have good credibility on this because, like, what I'm about to suggest the Democrats do goes against, like, what my personal political preference would be. If I could wave a magic wand to make somebody president, I would want, like, Jared Polis or somebody like that who has no $5.
The governor of Colorado.
The libertarian?
Yeah.
Wait, the guy who just pardoned
the election denying lady? Yeah, the insurrectionist lady? Oh, my God.
Look, he is. Yeah, he's a
Jared, so the most right-wing Democrat in the country, arguably, is who he would support?
Yeah. Isn't this someone we should listen to?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm appreciating at the very least the cold-hearted kind of just political analysis about strategy.
Yeah.
And it's showing that it's bad strategy even if you're a centrist like him.
Magic wand to make somebody president, I would want like Jared Polis or somebody like that who has no viability as a national figure.
Like, no.
But I
Why
think
is
that the Democrats need to put forth a candidate. I guess we're doing this in the 2028 context, but even in statewide candidates and federal level, who has some distance from the Clinton, Biden, Harris triumvirate, and like they need some distance from them, and it needs to be like comprehensible and understandable to people, to dum-dums, like what the difference is. And I think probably it is a little bit more economic populism. What that exactly looks like, I think, is up to the person, but mostly it is that they need to offer a critique of the Democratic Party establishment for being too cozy with corporate interests and saying that they're going to fight it at some level. Some of those proposals will be very stupid, but like there's some that are good, and I think that the framing is more important than the actual policies.
I mean, I would agree. I think to the extent that there's any question, it was interesting that the triumvirate was Clinton, Biden, and Harris, and
not the Obama people.
Not the Obama people, but
yeah.
Broadly speaking, yeah.
Yeah. But the second part is that this issue of Israel is
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The Warren.
It's going to be an early day for me. I'm too tired. I got to roll.